social and economic transformation. Transformation was therefore written all over our Constitution. The Constitution places on all institutions of state a responsibility to take those measures that are necessary to build a society that is, in nearly all respects, different from the society that came before it. It places emphasis on the work that must be done to heal the divisions of the past in circumstances where these divisions are manifested in the severe inequality of the present. It calls for social justice in circumstances where a large proportion of South Africans continue to live in poverty, where despite substantial progress, many are still unable to access things such as land, housing, water, food, healthcare, and education. The Constitution correctly that to advance this transformation from all spheres of government and all organs of state are required to provide effective, transparent account as well as coherent governments. To ensure that organs of state execute their constitutional mandates effectively, the legislative branch of government has the power to hold respective executive organs to account and have oversight over the implementation of the legislation and the conduct of other organs of state. Parliament, as a representative of the people of our country, has a clear mandate to hold the president, the deputy president, and ministers to account individually and collectively for the exercise of their powers and performance of their functions. Our legislative branch has, over the past 25 years, contributed to constitutional democracy through the enactment of legislation that both transforms society and the relationship between citizens and the state. I will, at the end, pose whether what I've just said has really manifested itself in the way it was envisaged. That is, in terms of the transformational purpose that our people expected. Legislation that's been passed includes those required to give effect to the provisions of the Constitution, such as the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act, the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act, and the Promotion of Access to Information Act. The work of the legislative branch in promoting good governance has been complemented by state institutions established to support constitutional democracy. These, of course, include the Public Protector, the South African Human Rights Commission, Commission on Gender Equality, the Electoral Commission, and the Auditor General. Each of these bodies play an important role in the viability as well as the sustainability of our constitutional democracy. They help to ensure that the state gives effect to the ideals and the vision of our Constitution. The judiciary, by upholding the rule of law and protecting human rights, has played and continues to play a pivotal role in our constitutional democracy. The enforcement of laws through the judiciary is crucial in the sustainability and viability of our democracy. Laws bind individuals in society together. Without the rule of law, our country is vulnerable to chaos, to violence, to mayhem, to anarchy, rampant corruption, violation of human rights, persistent inequality, and the collapse of state institutions. Where state institutions collapse, there is anarchy and disorder. The judiciary, led by the Constitutional Court, and in particular, founding members like Chief Justice Arthur Chaskalson and Pius Langa, has played a key role in giving effect to the founding values of the post-apartheid South Africa. It has played this role through groundbreaking judgments on many aspects of our Constitution. Following the establishment of the Constitutional Court, the court has emerged as a uniquely powerful institution, manifesting a moral constitutional authority. There is no viable state or effective constitutional democracy without the support and involvement of citizens in the different public formations. Apart from paying taxes, observing the law, and contributing to social and economic development, citizens also play an important role in the establishment of our various governance structures and in holding accountable those put in charge to serve the nation. Over the past 25 years, our Constitution, a lot of progress has been made in redressing the injustices of the past. Some of these measures include the provision of housing, water, sanitation, and social grants for the elderly, persons with disabilities, and children. There has been a distinct improvement in access to land, education, and health care services. These are part of the ongoing efforts to address economic and social injustices. However, despite numerous achievements, there are still many challenges in the realization of the vision as well as the values and prescripts of our Constitution. The persistently high levels of poverty, rising levels of unemployment, inequality, corruption, and violence show that our journey to the promised land is far from over. But we have embarked on this journey. The contours of our racist and sexist past still feature in private and public institutions, in business, in access to skills, wealth, opportunity, and in the spatial configuration of our cities, towns, and rural areas. South Africa's constitutional project will fail if vast inequalities and existing levels of poverty are not addressed by all levels of government. As the courts acknowledged in the case of Subramani versus Minister of Health, it said, we live in a society in which there are great disparities in wealth. Millions of people are living in deplorable conditions and in great poverty. There is a high level of unemployment, inadequate social security, and many do not have access to clean water or adequate health services. These conditions already existed when the Constitution was adopted, and a commitment to address them and to transform our society into one in which there will be human dignity, freedom, equality lies at the heart of our new constitutional order. For as long as these conditions continue to exist, the court continued, that aspiration will have a hollow ring. The success of our constitutional democracy will, to a large extent, depend on how these challenges are addressed. Therefore, this conference reflects and should reflect on the road ahead. It should reflect on the issues such as the progress on land restitution and reform. It should also reflect on the electoral reform that we need to embark upon. It should reflect on governance and the transformation of the economy. We are compelled to do so because that is precisely what is at the heart of transforming our country into a country that will meet the aspirations of our people. So it is not just a legal or constitutional matter. It is a matter that goes to the heart of our people. It should also reflect on matters such as how we deal with corruption, with crime, national security, and how these issues impact on the exercise and the protection of human rights. It is my sincere belief that this gathering of South Africans in all their diversity will identify actionable measures that will materially contribute towards the achievement of our constitutional goals. This conference gives us an opportunity to reflect on the road that we must traverse to strengthen our constitutional democracy and address the many challenges around the rule of law, accountability, social and economic justice. The strengthening and entrenchment of constitutional democracy requires a whole number of things, but centrally it requires an effective leadership in all spheres of our society, political will, and the support of all citizens. In our quest to strengthen our democracy, we do need to ask ourselves some pertinent questions that have to deal with the various contemporary issues that we have to confront or deal with. The transformation, for instance, of the judiciary is one of those that we need to ask ourselves. Have we done enough in relation to transforming our judiciary so that it is a judiciary that is fit for purpose for the transformational aspirations that we have? Is there more to be done than to put into effect gender and democratic balance in our judiciary? It's a question we have to ask ourselves. Has the executive done enough to develop our constitutional architecture on matters that it has been charged with? When we established the Ministry of Justice, initially we established it to be called Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Development. The current nomenclature we have is a new one. We need to ask ourselves, has the executive taken steps to get on with the development of our constitution? As we all know, constitutions are not static documents. They always get amended. They evolve with the times. Have we done that as an executive? We once, as an executive, received apt criticism from one of the justices when it came to our failure to get on with the process of land reform. And that justice said, as a court, we waited and waited, hoping that we would be presented with cases on the issue of land reform that we would deal with so that we can improve the jurisprudence and interpret the Constitution more effectively. We honestly have to ask ourselves whether we have done so over the 25 years. We also have to ask ourselves whether the legislative arm of our state has lived up to its calling of passing transformative laws as envisaged by our Constitution. We do also, and lastly but not least, have to ask ourselves whether our people, acting through various people's formations, civil society, taking advantage of the constitutional architecture to advance the basic rights of our people. These are questions which I hope will occupy your minds as you exchange views during the course of this conference. So we do hope that this conference, apart from anything else, will be a transformative conference that will lead the way and give guidance as we reflect on our 25 years of constitutional democracy. As we prepare to reflect on these issues, we should recall the words of former President Nelson Mandela on the occasion of the signing of the Constitution in Sharpeville on the 10th of December, 1996, when he said, "Today we cross a critical threshold. Let us now, drawing strength from the unity which we have forged, together grasp the opportunities and realize the vision enshrined in this Constitution. Let us give practical recognition to the injustices," he said, "of the past by building a future based on equality and social justice. Let us nurture our national unity by recognizing with respect and joy the languages, the cultures, the religions of South Africa in all their diversity. Let tolerance for one another's views create the peaceful conditions which give space for the best in all of us to find expression and to flourish. And above all, let us work together in striving to banish homelessness, illiteracy, hunger, and disease." So said our great leader, Nelson Mandela. These words provide an essential guide as we chart the road ahead. I therefore wish you all the best in your discussions and look forward over the next 3 days to the robust and productive engagement from which our constitutional democracy in our nation will surely benefit. This is a very rare opportunity, and let us grasp it with both hands and hear the diverse views of some of the best legal, constitutional, social, economic minds that we have in our country. And as I look at all of you, I see a diversity of some of the really outstanding views. So I look forward to your debates, and I look forward to the outcomes that will come from this conference. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, we thank you for your wide-ranging address that has indeed covered a wide range of issues that South Africans of goodwill that are seated here